Yeah, I've thought a lot about the key lessons, and I was asked it when I first got out to Google, now Alphabet, and I actually think they're relevant for businesses in great high growth markets as well. Probably the most important lesson was that you need to identify your source of vulnerability and protect against it early. So for banking, it was liquidity, and without liquidity, the banking system, your bank choked, and it absolutely did. And you could invest to actually have very sturdy liquidity in good days. You couldn't do it in the heart of the crisis. And so when you're at that moment of pain, it's too late. And I think each one of us needs to understand our source of vulnerability and invest in those good days to protect against it. I think the other really important one, and this was really hit home to me most by the experience at AIG. The problem with AIG was the derivatives business in London, and AIG didn't have, I think, proper data analytics to understand the sheer risk that they had taken on. And the metaphor that I think of is that you wouldn't drive a car with mud on the windshield, just as you should not run a company with mud on the windshield. If you clear away that mud, you can drive much faster. And so investing in process and systems so you have the right data analytics so you can make really sharp choices is another thing you need to do early, or you will find yourself driving off a cliff because you've got mud on the windshield, just like AIG did. And the third really important one, I think, is something Hank Paulson said to me during the crisis. He said, you have to have the will and the means, and too often by the time you have the will, namely the political will, you no longer have the means. And he was talking about housing, and then he said the same thing talking about Greece. If we had solved Greece early, when the issue was smaller, it wouldn't have spread to the periphery. But I think that similarly is true for all of us. If we waste resources in good days because it feels like, why make the tough choices? You're going to rue that day later. So it really goes to the point of focus and proper capital allocation. Make sure you're picking your spots and do it early.